It is obviously a very pretty state to live here. Lots of fun things to do in the summertime. It only took me an hour to drive to this hike, so that's pretty cool. And there's lots of stuff like that, lots of kayaking. And even if somebody doesn't like going to the hiking or mountains or things like that, they just want to look at it. There's lookouts for that too. There's also like a lot of summer markets and parades, things like that are fun to go do. And so it's can be a very active state to live in. Winter is kind of rough. This last winter, it was very, very cold. It is often cold, but usually just doesn't last that long, maybe a couple of weeks when it's, at least where I live, -20, -30. And this time it was in December, in January, February, and March. Just really looking forward to spring, and it was mostly -20 the whole month. So makes it hard for the snow to melt, but it gets a little bit better. Not all winters are like that. Like the winter before, it only got that cold for like a few weeks, and that was it. And we hardly got any snow. It was so weird. Got maybe 6 inches had to melt by the end of spring, and this winter it was more like 3 or 4 feet. So when it wasn't cold and warmed up, it just snowed a bunch. So that can definitely be challenging, and it's super windy a lot. Who knew? But Alaska is a pretty windy state. And in the wintertime, that causes a lot of issues if it's really strong, like 70, 80 mile per hour winds. And so get a lot of power outages in some places. And this last year, 0 degrees, and some people were without power for like 2 or 3 days because the wind was so bad. And sometimes it's only a day, sometimes it's worse. It just, it varies from winter to winter. However, it is still a pretty state. There's lots of things to do in the winter too, like ice fishing, skiing, that kind of thing. Or like I just mostly work on my crafts and hobbies. I'm not much of an outside person in the wintertime. And I just started painting when I came up here. It's a very pretty state to do that. And aside from that, there's a huge art community in Alaska. Who knew? But there's a lot of artists up here, a lot of art retreats, like art activities, all kinds of fun things. Great place to have like craft fairs, lots of craft fairs, and holiday markets, and like art shows. So lots of opportunities for artists, and there's artist residency programs throughout the state. Haven't checked one of those out before, but maybe this year, so we'll see. So that's always some fun things. And then, of course, the permanent fund dividend is always fun to get. The government started capping it, but, still money. So I'm happy to get it whenever I get it. The job market is kind of I think. There are jobs up here, depending, where you live, but around Anchorage, Wasilla, a lot of people live in those areas. I think it can be a little rough sometimes. Um, can get jobs. There's quite a lot of people up here. I just think it can be challenging to do, and finding a good paying one, that probably could be, anywhere. But, living here, I don't know. I think it's fun overall. It's a good experience. I like the fresh air. I like having things to do. I like going to places like this, and it's very relaxing and lifting and peaceful for the mind. So I'd say overall it's been a good experience. I've been up here for like 15 years. Sometimes I think about being a snowbird, like stay in the wintertime or summertime and then go somewhere else in the wintertime. Maybe when I'm older. But it's all part of it. I guess it's a good experience, so to speak. So very cool, very pretty. Thank you.